We have been watching Making a Murderer. I said watched. It's done. It's a documentary series that's on
Well, I haven't seen
Netflix.
it.
You haven't.
I'm going to.
Which is why we're not going to spoil anything. It's really, really good. It's one of these things where you see a story and the more it unfolds, you can't believe that it's actually happened in real life. And also, as a consequence, it made a horrible consequences to like a lot of people's lives. It's just, like you're watching and you think, it's hard to watch a documentary and not, you're obviously getting all the time, you're going to get one big side. So you're kind of like trying to think, oh, well, there's obviously another side to this, but I don't even know what other side could be to this. Unless all the stuff that he's accused of, he actually did. But you come out of it really thinking he's probably innocent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't want to say anything because I think anything's a bit of spoiler.
Okay, yeah. But you should watch it. It's all on Netflix right now. Lots of people are talking about it.
It was kind of the main talking point over Christmas, which is weird because I hadn't really heard of it at all before that. And then suddenly everyone's speaking about it.
Yeah. I think it's just like
Netflix has a habit of that. It's kind of like their certainly pedigree in the last kind of 12 months has been exceptional. I can't think of a duff show that they've done.
But then sometimes you do hear, like, I guess it's easier to market something like Daredevil and stuff, but I felt like that was everywhere.
In the run-up to it.
Whereas this, it just kind of came out. But I think that kind of happens with like true crime stuff where people like latch onto it. Like what happened with Serial. Like a couple of episodes went out and then it became just this giant thing then that everyone's into because you want to find out. It's just that kind of story, isn't it? Where you want to see what happens at the end of it. And with murder stuff and true crime stuff, I think that's really big. But as you haven't seen it, and as maybe people haven't seen it, so we don't want to spoil it, what we have done is come up with a list of stuff that you could watch if you have finished Making a Murderer. Or if you haven't watched it, you can watch these after you've watched Making a Murderer. Or watch it before, it doesn't matter. So
here's some stuff that exists.
So here we go. Krupa, could you want to take one of these each with each other?
So the other thing is, I've not seen Making a Murderer. I've not seen any of these either. So,
really?
But no, not a single one. So, but I'd be well up for kind of getting into the kind of genre because, as you say, it sounds interesting.
There's some really good stuff out there. So I put Serial Series 1 at the top because that's something that everyone can get for free straight away, and it's still really, really good. Listen, like you said, you listened through twice. Did you say that?
No.
Oh, I was talking to somebody who's just recently like re-listened to it and said, you pick up a lot more of it, and it's a story of a high school teen who's in prison for murder. And years later, they sort of uncover. This journalist goes back to sort of re-examine the case and things like that. It kind of like gripped everyone like last year. Everyone kind of went bonkers for it. The second series out at the moment. It's very different, but the first series is still really good. And what did you think of the ending? Without spoiling,
Of Serial?
Yeah. Like, do you think it was satisfying? Like, I actually quite liked the ending. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people thought it was going to be.
I think this feeds into a bigger issue with a lot of these documentaries and films and projects. Is you watch them and there's moments where you go, that is an amazing moment. I would not believe that if it was scripted, but I have to believe it by virtue of it being real. Where it deviates from that expectation is the ending. Because real life doesn't have endings. Real life is messy and it's like interminable. These things go on for years just because like a lot of these documentaries are made over like 10, 20 years or they're like dipping into archives. So it's easy for someone to come along and go, right, we can apply.
You can make a narrative.
We can make this a first act, second act, third act. But then the third act is where it untangles because it's like, things are still not finished, or we don't know the answer. Like one I'd add to this, even though it's not a documentary, it's a film, but it's very influenced by documentaries, I think, is Zodiac.
Oh, that made it on that.
And brilliant David Fincher film. It's long. Have you seen it?
No.
It's absolutely brilliant. It's intense, great performances from Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, tracking a serial killer in San Francisco. You should watch it on the flight when you go to San Francisco.
I'll do that.
And it's really dark, but it's about a real life case that was never solved. And it's just, that is, with that one, that's not a spoiler. And it's just like,
it's super close to like source material as well. Like they don't, it barely goes off in like any Hollywood directions really. Because like the main guy who Jake Gyllenhaal plays was really involved with the making of the film. There's even like a giant documentary that they put together as well about all the stuff, like just to say, look, this is real stuff on the Blu-ray as well.
Actually, with a lot of these things, like listen to Serial. Not, when any of these things, like, drives me mad thinking that killers are out there, you don't know who they are. Like, people do get away with murder. People literally get away with murder. and they're out there.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be a detective. Just not knowing would drive me insane.
Yeah, it'd be bonkers. Well, that's like there's a really and I think even though the ending of Zodiac isn't like a perfect like Hollywood ending, it is still really, really good ending because it's just like it's really well acted, and what happens in the end is really good. Some other stuff, actually, a documentary on here that does have a pretty good ending is The Imposter.
Yes.
Which basically a teenager goes missing in Texas and turns up in Spain or France. Like no idea how this guy got there, but it's basically turns out. And this is not a spoiler because they chuck this out right at the beginning of the film, but it's basically the guy who they pick up is not him, is not the child at all.
Right.
He's like a French Algerian adult who was not born in Texas, but has made like his life impersonating people, and he's like this big fraud.
Right.
But that does have a kind of good ending because.
Do you think they'll ever find Madeleine McCann?
Nah.
That should be a documentary.
I know.
I bet we can make that. They just released.
I don't think we should make
We do IGN first.
I don't think we should make that.
But like they've just released a book, haven't they, as well?
Have they?
It's really awkward. It's like it reminded. I saw a picture of her parents. It reminded me of Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Because they're posing for a press picture of this book, and it's obviously so many years later. Obviously, you still be devastated you lost your child, but it's this weird moment. And obviously,
like
loads of
10 years
people
now?
accuse them of doing stuff, or being involved, or being complicit, or having more information than they've said. It's that awkward moment where they're posing and they're not smiling, but it's like it seems weird for them not to be smiling. Cause
the whole thing about that
would be so much weirder if they were smiling.
is that she has now been with her captors longer than she's been with her family.
Oh,
which is
if alive.
If alive, yes.
She's not alive.
For God's sakes. Oh my God.
We've talked about the Jinx quite a lot on here, so I don't think we should talk about it anymore. But like we did an entire thing like on the TV podcast why you should watch the Jinx and why the Jinx is the best TV show of the last year. But some other stuff like that, The Thin Blue Line, which is not the Rowan Atkinson one.
What?
That comes highly recommended, and it's based on real life.
And that's true crime. Do you know the name of Rowan Atkinson's character in that?
No.
Can you remember? Inspector Raymond Fowler.
Ooh.
Written by... What was the show written by?
Was it Ben Elton?
Ben Elton.
Yeah.
Not Richard Curtis? I think it was just Ben Elton.
Yeah. I used to watch that.
Awful program.
It was awful. It was just, what was that one detective who, like, all he used to do was just innuendo. He was like, remember, your cock up, my ass.
Constable Kevin Goody?
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
You know too much about it. The Thin Blue Line is not.
It's not
the Rowan
that.
Atkinson thing. No, it was an Errol Morris documentary about a guy who's in prison for 12 years for killing a police officer, and it basically it looks into like the trial and how bad the trial went. Juries cannot be trusted, man.
Right.
Like, if I was on trial for something and I looked at the jury,
juries can't be trusted.
They cannot be trusted.
Because I think there's 12 random people in certain degrees, and obviously they eliminate certain people on certain grounds. But I was watching some of these things over the last year, speaking to the people who are watching it, it's like, I know for a fact, just see it in like The Office or just regular life. Yeah. You have bigger characters than others. Yeah. People are more argumentative than others. People who care more than others. Yeah. You get 12 people together. One or two people with strong conviction could sway other people. Some people just want to go home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We play,
some people.
We play a board game called The Resistance now and again at work, and like that is. Did you played it, right?
We did, yes.
And like that's perfect because the amount, if you can just like I can turn Rory easy. Like
calm down.
Like
calm down. You're not all that, mate.
I could turn Rory definitely that way. But also like in those games, like I don't know, I could just. Because Rory's just nice and he's like, I don't know, innocent.
You're thinking of a really nice way to say gullible.
Yes. Well, I think Rory would admit that he's quite
credulous.
Gullible. Yeah, no. But like, I think
easily impressionable.
Yeah, I think if I was on a jury,
that's why I murdered all those kids.
I would. If I was on a jury, I'd find it really hard to have my mind swayed by somebody else other than the case. I think I'd be good on a jury.
Right.
Have you ever done jury service?
No.
Have you?
No.
Do you think you'd be good?
But I think the problem with you is
I'd stick to my guns.
You'd be quite like locked onto something, and you wouldn't have a particularly open mind.
No, I would. I definitely would because of all this shit that I've seen.
I think you'd end up going in there knowing what you're going to go for before they even said a word.
You do make up your mind very quickly.
I do, but because of all this stuff that I've seen on different documentaries where the juries just definitely cannot be trusted, I would be going in there Like literally, I'm blank slate, guys. Impress me. Tell me what you think.
I don't believe that for a second.
I honestly would. Because
I reckon you go in like that. As soon as he or she walks in,
guilty.
Did it?
You stand up like, you don't sit down.
Did it? You don't even know what they did. Did it?
Okay.
Look at his eyes. Is all I'm saying. Look at his eyes.
Another like deeply sad documentary where people are accused of doing something, and it's quite, clearly not. It's Paradise Lost. The Child Murders at Robin Wood Hills, which is a documentary about 3 kids get killed and 3 sort of goths get blamed for it. And there's basically no evidence at all, other than they're a bit weird, aren't they?
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my God.
And it's a really, really sad documentary. And at the time,
do I want to watch these?
Bring it back up a bit. At the time, it was the only film Metallica let use one of their songs. That's changed now. But
Mission Impossible 2 also uses a Metallica song now.
Yeah. So
there you go. Sold out.
It's great end, isn't it? Also, a different kind of thing, not a documentary, but Appropriate Adult. Did you guys see this?
I've not seen Appropriate Adult.
It was like a 2-part.
You watch a lot of television, man.
I watch a lot of crime stuff.
Yeah.
Just
for when you get that call
perfect
up.
crime.
He's like
that. You watched that film? Is it Sandra Bullock? How to like do the perfect crime? And it's about 2 like teenagers watching loads of stuff to try and plot the perfect crime.
Yeah.
Are you doing that?
I might be.
Are you doing that?
You want in?
I'm up for it.
All right, wicked.
Do you think you could
It's basically him going up to Roy going,
kill that person. Do you think you could commit the perfect crime?
No, I would be rubbish.
Would you?
Yeah, I would be rubbish at killing someone.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it at all.
Would you be good under interrogation?
I don't know.
No comment.
Nice. But Appropriate Adult was like a BAFTA-winning sort of docudrama, moral drama about Fred and Rose West. Dominic
I've seen this. I thought it was called that. Yeah. I would have called it Fred and Rose.
Yeah. But it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's really good.
It's very good. Dominic West's performance is great.
Fantastic.
And there's a bit early on where his dialogue is taken almost verbatim from actual police tape.
Yeah. Right.
Where he just talks about killing someone in a very matter-of-fact way.
Yeah.
In horrible fashion. And it's just chilling because it's so... Yeah, and
have you listened back to that tape? Like, it's bonkers when you listen to it.
It's
because he's just talking, and then he obviously goes into like really horrible detail about the people they're killing. You just like, you miss it because you're like,
because you're not listening, because he's not like delivering in this grandiose way, and there's not music going.
Yeah.
He's just like, and it was like dismembering, in the basement. What? God. Imagine if you're the police officer, just like,
huh?
They just come out going, no, I didn't get much. You listen to this.
But that's a really, really good one. Like quite a fun one, but
because the list so far
after Fred and Rosemary
is another Errol Morris documentary called Tabloid,
right?
Which is about this bonkers woman who is just obsessed with being famous. She was like a former Miss Wyoming. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. She's like. Watching her,
it's on Netflix, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. But it's brilliant to watch because you just want to listen to her talk constantly because the stuff she comes out with is mad. But she was accused. She basically imprisoned like a Mormon guy and like forced him to have sex with her and stuff, all this different stuff. But it's just a fantastic documentary. Just her,
right?
It's still
a bit more lighthearted, that one.
Yeah,
I was going to say
tiny
something to start the new year off with a smile.
There's a good show on Channel 4 recently called The Murder Detectives, 3-part, and it's like actual police case in Bristol of a young lad who was murdered.
I love it.
And they were shooting it like a crime drama, but it was a documentary, and it's so horrible to hear. Like, you heard the mobile phone call to the emergency service from this kid who was stabbed. And you see CCTV footage of him running down the street, and he's just got, he's just like, help, I've been stabbed. And then you hear him trail off, and they're like, where are you? And he's just like, fuck. And he just keeps saying, it's just like really disturbing. Right. And it's interesting to see how a real life case unfolds, and it does achieve some sense of resolution. Yeah. But like, for instance, like, they lift up all the manhole covers and drains, like in all the streets in systematic fashion, and eventually they get to one where they find a knife, and they don't know whether it's the knife or not. It's just like, just to find it was amazing. Because I thought you feel like you could hide something if you wanted to, But I guess there's the dilemma where the police officer explains it. It's like, yeah, you could drive for miles and miles and dispose it in a place we'll never find it. Yeah. But then you're keeping it on yourself for longer.
Yeah.
So there's this gambit. It's like, ditch it sooner, so you're not found with it.
Cut your hands off.
Cut your hands off.
Cut your hands off.
Or with the knife.
Yeah.
You not thought this
you
through.
chop my hands off, I'll chop yours hands off.
Yeah, but then Sandra Bullock will find us.
I might hide it here if I was going to hide.
What'll work?
Like a weapon or something. Would they come here?
Why?
Why?
Of course.
What?
If they were a suspect, do you think they would find any connection between me and this?
No. I know that. But if they came here, they're not going to go right. Studio, get all the floorboards up. We're looking for.
You better putting it somewhere that has no connection to you. Sure.
I think that they do have connection to you.
This is
in
not
your sock drawer.
Hide in plain sight. Hide in plain sight.
You know what you. This is what you do. You kill someone with a frozen leg of lamb. And then when the police officer comes round, you cook it for him and he eats it. That's an old Roald Dahl story, that.
Is it?
I don't think they'd stay for dinner though, would they?
Yeah, but you could just be cooking it and they're like, oh, they don't know.
Just a big icicle.
Big icicle. Ice, yeah. Stab someone, melts.
Done. Yeah.
That's a Jonathan Creek, that. That is a Jonathan Creek locker room mystery. How did he die? But his trousers are wet.
Probably pissed up. No. Anyway,
I've tasted it.
There is something coming soon. There's an HBO drama about the O.J. Simpson story,
right?
Because that hasn't been done enough, and it's called American Crime Story.
EDTA.
It does it really good. So EDTA.